Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt, joined now by United States Senator Chuck Grassley. Senator, I read that you drove back from Iowa on Sunday. How long does that take?
uh, 15 hours, and we drive straight through. And there's two things. One, it takes about 7 hours if you fly and change airplanes and drive from the Des Moines airport to the farm. So you're talking about twice the time that it would be flying. But it's also a little bit relaxing in the sense of being by yourself. But the real reason was that I didn't want to be confronted with this virus situation on airplanes. But now that they have the protocol of wearing masks on the in the airports and on the airplanes, I think when I go home, I try to go home every weekend. So when I go home, I'll probably fly the next time, because if you're just home for a weekend, you can't spend 30 hours on the road, 15 each way. So
Well,
I go home to keep in touch with my constituents, even though you can't have meetings.
I asked this, Senator, because my wonderful wife, the fetching Mrs. Hewitt's got a lead foot and a number of tickets to prove it. Do you observe the posted speeds when you're driving from Iowa to D.C.?
No, I would say 10 miles an hour over the speed limit.
All right, I love your honesty, Senator.
I think
Senator,
I think I think that's kind of a rule of thumb, that if you are within that limit, nine miles an hour, that you probably aren't going to get stopped.
you may hear from the local highway patrols on that one, Senator. A couple of years ago, you made news. I asked you if you'd heard anything about the Supreme Court retirements. Have you heard anything about Supreme Court retirements this spring?
No, not at all, except the discussion that's been going on about McConnell. If there is a vacancy, it's going to be taken up. But I don't expect there's going to be a vacancy because at least no person appointed by a Democrat president is going to resign before the election, because they want to take a chance on Biden being elected president and putting somebody like the four liberals that are on there, replacing liberal with liberal. Of course, if Trump's reelected, and I think he's going to be reelected, then we've got a chance, if one of them resigns, of getting another conservative, or if one of the Republican appointees would resign, we would have a chance of replacing like with like.
Do you expect any of the Republican appointees to retire in June or July?
Oh Lord, I hope not.
All right.
I haven't heard anything, and I don't. I think, I think there's such stalwarts, and there's really only one of them that's of an age you might think about retiring, and I hope that guy never retires.
Yeah, I know. Justice Thomas is he's right on the Commerce Clause for one thing. Senator Grassley, I want to do some special pleading. I did it with the Vice President today. I did it with Ted Cruz. I want to do it with you. You're on Judiciary. The
Yes.
California District Courts are in a terrible situation. We've got a nominee, Mark Scarsi, who's had a hearing. We've got Rick Richmond and a bunch of others who haven't had a hearing. We got a bunch of people in the pipeline, like a Democrat, John Flynn, who I think has got Kamala Harris and Feinstein. Can we get some federal district court judges approved for California? Because honestly, it's like a judicial emergency all over the place.
Well, you're going to have to talk to Graham, because he honors the blue slip for district court judges. He's not going to honor it for circuit court judges, as I didn't honor it for circuit court judges. And as a result, I think that he would make that decision. And as much as I want to see the same kind of people on the district court, the same people on the district court that you want to see on there in California, I still would have to respect the chairman of the committee, because he respected me when I was chairman. And on the other hand, we shouldn't allow these blue slips to be abused, whether it's for district court judge or circuit court judge, particularly if the White House, the rule that I used when I was chairman of the committee for 4 years, 2 years under President Trump, as long as there was a good faith effort of the White House to consider the views of the senators from those states. That was a condition, and if there was really a dialogue between two senators or one senator in the White House, I felt that was what was needed. Now, I can't tell you in this case whether or not that dialogue's going on in the ones that you're interested in, but I think we have been somewhat successful in getting some reasonable people on at the district court level in California.
Well, you've got
one thing about the district court judges in California. It isn't who's on the district court in California. It's how radical the Ninth Circuit is in sustaining radical judges there or overturning some decisions that are more conservative, and I think we're gradually straightening out the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is kind of a protection then on the radicalism of a district court judge in California.
That's true. You've done the Judiciary Committee dating back to when you're chair and now under Senator Graham, done a great job on the Ninth Circuit. But Lindsey won't get up early enough to talk to me, so I can't lobby for Scarsey, Richmond, and the other people who've been nominated and waiting for hearings or votes. So if you just would nudge him a little bit to pay attention to the left coast, I would appreciate it, Senator.
I will. You asked me to do that, and I will do that.
You're a great American. Let's turn to your Finance Committee duty. Phase 4 is coming. I think it's going to be a showdown between Democrats wanting money for blue states. And I got to play you what Andrew Cuomo said yesterday about this. Cut number 9, please.
Who are now saying, why should we bail out the Democratic states? The Democratic states have been supporting them for years.
What do you think about that, Senator Grassley, that there are these blue states that have been supporting the federal treasury for years and they deserve relief more than red states?
The reason they're supporting red states is because the policies of their own party over the last 60 years to tax and spend all the money to Washington, D.C., and then distribute the goodies throughout the United States. And when if they don't like to be supporting red states, then don't have the federal government so dominant in the economy and in the absorption of the tax money, leave more of that tax money to the respective states.
So in terms of the deal that will emerge for Phase 4, Senator Cruz said the Democrats want money for the states. Leader McConnell wants liability protection and maybe preemption of tort claims to the federal level. What do you think the deal for a Phase 4 is going to be looking like, Senator Grassley?
Well, first of all, I accept what McConnell has said, that we have put out at least $3.5 trillion over the last 6 weeks, that we ought to just take a deep breath and see how the economy's turning around and what's needed, rather than just as soon as you pass one bill, start thinking about another bill. Now, I want to say that going back a month, and I'll say it again now, when I helped negotiate for the Finance Committee part of what's called Phase 3 or the CARES Act, we went into it with open mind and open eyes that we said for the first time in the 240-year history of the country, it's the fourth or fifth time we dealt with a pandemic, but it's only the first time that the governments have shut down the entire economy. We had a responsibility to open it up, and as we were negotiating a month ago, we thought in three months maybe things will be better and we won't have to do anymore. But we also said if it isn't, we'll probably be doing the same thing. But I don't want to make that decision 1 month into this quarter. I think we ought to wait another 3 or 4 weeks before we start doing it. Now, I don't know whether what I just said is going to be governing or not. It'll be up to McConnell. But McConnell is right when he thinks if we're going to do something, we should protect the people from frivolous lawsuits, because this pandemic is an act of God. And how do you sue God for something he did? You can't. And why would you expect people when there's an act of God, to be held responsible for anything? Now, that's almost saying, that people can't do something wrong and you can't be sued. But there ought to be some limit on that, is the way I look at it.
Senator, I agree with that. I'm not blaming God for this. That's theodicy. That's theology. It's above my pay grade. But I do not believe that plaintiffs' lawyers ought to be able to pick over the bones of businesses. Do you think we need a higher standard for liability in a COVID-related case for proximate cause? And should it be preempted by the federal government into the federal district court so that state tort law doesn't rule here?
The answer is yes, and I hope that's where we go. And I'm not sure how precisely it can be written to do exactly what you said. But after I said you can't sue God and act to God, I was going to go on and say basically what you said, and I won't repeat it. But I think it's important that we push that point. So the other side of the coin is, if you can't sue God, you shouldn't have something that's this bad that nobody has control over to be an excuse to sue. And somebody gave us a figure yesterday at noon of about 770 lawsuits already filed.
Wow.
Doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah, it tells me the plaintiff's bar is being the plaintiff's bar, Senator, and we got to stop that, or we'll never recover. Last word to you.
Yeah, well, I think I have taken on the Bar Association in a couple instances since I've been a member of the Senate. The class action tort reform bills of the mid-2000s, I was the author of that, and also the author of bankruptcy reform that we did in the early 2000s.
Senator, always a pleasure. Watch that speed limit. I think the Smokies are going to be after you the next time.
Okay.
Good to talk to you, Senator.